LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know this. It does not matter who the host is. It never has, really. What matters is who the listeners are. Anyways, how are you? Yes, we are back live inside of the studio, coming to you from Orlando, Florida. Yes, Orlando, Florida. Listen, great week last week in Santa Fe, but man, a little bit too cold for my liking, if you know what I'm saying there. Anyways, let's see. Today's Monday, March 13th of 2023, day 72 of the year, and only 293 days left to go. As I already said, we are coming from Orlando, and we are coming to you live and in living color. It is 2 minutes past the top of the hour, but we are also hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place we do stuff at. Radio USA. Canada, UK. Oh, yes, hanging out with Radio Big over there, doing all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm telling you, number one, I thought I was going to have the death flu because I couldn't get rid of it. So if you were at the, let's see, Safety FM Presents Safety Differently workshop, also deemed the Conklin Conference, and you were hanging out there, you probably saw me or at least heard me because I was coughing up a storm and almost dying. So pretty much, left me with a non-speaking part for the most part, and I get it. Believe me, no problem there because it was a cough-a-thon. It was a cough-a-thon, if anything. So if you're new here, let's talk a little bit about how our world interacts and goes with a lot of things. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about the news and safety. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in some professional broadcasters. They're going to talk about what the heck that they like to do, and that's not an issue there. That's just, to get everything rolling for us to be on one subject to loop as we are moving forward. So that'll be the cool, interesting part about that whole thing. Also, if you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will get everything moving. Yes, everything moving and what is going on. You can text, you can talk, you can interact in any format. And then if you want to torture yourself and do the video side, well, you can do that too. We do have that available. I don't know why anybody wants to put themselves through that, but you can do that at radiobig.fm and click on where it says visual radio, or go to safetyfm.com and do the exact same thing there. So options are available to doing something a little bitty different in that particular regards. We'll talk about the fun time that we had last week in Santa Fe, so don't worry about that. We'll discuss some of that. But as we are hanging out right now, let's talk about what was trending, because that's going to be important.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, the second and third biggest bank failures in history in the last 72 hours. We're talking a little bit about that. Some more details about the budget that President Joe Biden laid out last week. We can talk about that if we get swampy. Jane Fonda has murder on her mind, and Seth Rogen is successfully without kids. So I don't know what that means. Kristen Doubt is returning to Vanderpump Rules, and the Flintstones spinoff has landed on Fox. So we'll talk about all of that and a little more when we do all the fun stuff that we get to do. So there it is. As you know, news does cover everything, and I know that there is some major bank failures that have been going on, and we're going to talk about some of those. And I know that it can still be some sensitive side for some as we are talking about it, but I just want to get you ready on what we're on the verge of talking about. So don't worry, we're going to get you moving and grooving right now. So professional broadcasters coming out, and doing all the fun stuff there. So take a listen to this. We're going to get you into the news right now. Oh, and before I say that, the reason I didn't broadcast last week, or part of it last week, is I did do some. Thick walls don't allow you to get internet access if you don't have really strong internet. So that was my mess up. We'll take care of that next time. Anyways, let's talk. Let's see what's on the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
In charge.
Duh.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
One U.S. senator is calling for Mexico to increase law enforcement presence after 4 Americans were kidnapped and 2 of them killed shortly after crossing the border from Texas. More from Trey Thomas.
Senator Bob Menendez is calling for Mexico to step up policing south of the border.
Mexico has a responsibility, first and foremost, to its own citizens to establish safety and security within its own territory, and to those who visit its country as well.
Appearing on NBC's Meet the Press, the New Jersey Democrat explained that while the U.S. can help by providing intelligence or guidance, Mexico needs to step up enforcement. I'm Trey Thomas.
The head of the National Transportation Safety Board says the U.S. still has the safest aviation system in the world.
There are clearly risks that we need to evaluate, and this is why the NTSB is investigating several incidents so it doesn't become something more catastrophic.
Appearing on ABC's This Week, NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Homendy expressed confidence despite at least 6 close-call incidents between airplanes since December. Homendy also called on the FAA to take action since close-call events are on the rise. Homendy also talked about rail safety, saying that new safety goals laid out by Norfolk Southern, the company behind a series of recent derailments, were not robust enough. A school in New Jersey is hoping to stop students from being bullied. Bayonne High School is working on a plan that would offer incentives for students to behave. Brian Thompson reports.
Students here facing the same bullying issues as kids across the nation, but now taking matters into their own hands, fed up with the status quo.
Kid getting picked on, a female said something about another female.
9 student leaders pushing a new path forward.
School officials say if students are kind to one another and there's less bullying or fighting on school grounds, they'll be rewarded, like no homework Fridays. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Rated R Safety Show. Sarcastic? Never.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, toilets flushing, and all that kind of fun stuff, getting you all excited and moving and grooving. Anyways, it is currently 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this marvelous Monday. Yeah, I'm so happy to be back. So apparently if you were on the video side, you got partial news. So there you go, partial news, video side. Like I always say, radio show first, visual radio second, because who wants to see me? Like, seriously, who wants to see me? So let's take it from the very top of the shit list of exactly what is going on. In the last 3 days, state regulators of opposite coast closed 2 banks, making it the second and third largest bank shutdown in history terms. So take a listen to this. In California, state regulators have shuttered Silicon Valley Bank, or SVB for short, after a run of deposits last week. SVB amazed billions of dollars in bonds as part of their investment portfolio and used accounting tricks to overstate the value of their assets relative to their liabilities. But in recent rapid rise of interest rates, it caused the value of these bonds to decrease dramatically, which means that on paper, the value of SBV assets decreased significantly. By law, banks must have a certain multiple of assets to outweigh their liabilities. As the value of their assets decrease, their value of their bonds decrease. SVB needed to raise money quickly, more money quickly. And it gets worse. One of its draws of SVB was the high interest rate that it paid to depositors, which the bank paid for by investing more customer deposits than their typical bank. Ultimately, as the bonds yields decreased and withdrawals increased, the bank was paying out more interest than it was generating in the bonds. Last week, SVB announced that they sold off about $21 billion in securities at a loss in order to have their cash to make it good to increasing numbers of customer withdrawals and maintain regulatory compliance. To cover the loss, they wanted to raise money by investors. But wait! The sell-off to ask the cash spooked venture capitalists to get their company to keep the money in the bank, and they started withdrawing their cash faster and faster. The economic downturn, however you want to take a look at it, has dried up investors' cash. So their companies began relying on their retained earnings and existing capital to keep paying the bills. This gets crazier. On Friday, California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation took control of the bank-appointed Federal Deposits Insurance Corporation to oversee its sale. With $209 billion in assets in the end of last year, SVB collapse is the second biggest bank failure ever. On Sunday, government announced that they would insure customers' deposit, even those beyond the federal insurance the FDIC, of $250,000 limit. Worth noting, the FDIC does not directly use taxpayer funds in the situations like this, so it isn't a direct bailout. The shareholders of these banks will go bust. The FDIC operates by using fees paid by the banks in the situations like this, and the likely of the increase of these fees amid increasing economic uncertainty. The fees will get passed alongside to the depositors. Believe me, this is going to be a long one. Paying these fees will be a minor inconvenience for the big players at JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, to name a few. Smaller local banks may struggle, leading to the exact kind of financial consolidation that that leaves people with fewer options. Worth noting, this also sends another increasingly dangerous signal to big government will be there every time something goes sideways in the private sector. That's something that they're saying, not me. So I just want to make sure that we're clear here. And meanwhile, in New York, state regulators closed Signature Bank, a favorite of crypto companies. Regulators are backing deposits at Signature like they are with SVP. By the way, SVP's chief administrator officer was the CFO of Lehman Brothers in 2008, which was the fourth largest investment bank in the world until it collapsed in 2008 during the recession. So let's talk about it. We have a lot of screwed up money situations occurring first thing in the morning. I mean, you already knew this problem over the weekend, so now you're sitting here going, So, meanwhile, when one of Twitter users suggested Twitter buy SVP to become the digital bank, Elon Musk replies, I'm open to the idea. Musk has said on multiple occasions that he sees Twitter facilitating online transactions in the digital creator economy, and such purchase could provide much of the infrastructure. So, fun fact, last year, Bloomberg reported that Milwaukee Bucks great intentionally divvied up his cash across more than 50 banks, never leaving more than $250,000 in each of them in the funds where they were insured by the FDIC. Listen, I will tell you, number one, if you're listening to this show and you have over $250,000 in a bank, I would say, make sure that you're spreading them across multiple banks. And I'm not talking about multiple locations of one bank, but man, this gets crazy real quick because this made some people flip in regards to what is going on. Like super paranoia about some of those things. Like, think about this. Think about the impact that this is going to have across the board here. And we're only 20 minutes into the show and we're already talking about this. So what's going to happen? What do you think will be the interesting part over the next few days? That's going to be always the thing.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, the judge who's overseeing the Sam Bankman-Fried trial told the attorneys on Friday that he is skeptical of the effort of the limits of SBF's access to the internet. SBF's attorney asked that they for some, leniency on the judge's demand of SBF not even touch a device connected to the internet. They argue that their client needs to at least manage legal documents to do his own research and access some sports and streaming sites. Hold on. You need to access some sports? I mean, I don't know about all that. I don't know if that's a need. And what happens if you're watching a TV that's being streamed? Does that put you kind of in a weird part? Anyways, but the judge says that SBF, I suspect that he's inventive and technology savvy, that he could find a way around simply not being able to get caught. He often ordered that the attorneys amend their requests, according to CNN. Meanwhile, wherever Shaq is hanging out, Shaquille O'Neal was named as one of the defendants in the class action lawsuit against FTX and celebrity endorsers. But so far, no one has been able to find NBA legend to serve him the papers. Lawyers for the plaintiffs say that the allegations against Shaq are more of the most consequential ones. So there you go. What do you think? Do you think that the celebrity endorsement has a big factor into what goes on? I mean, I always ask that question because I never know. So do you think Shaquille should be on some on the hook for some of this? And I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I understand the whole thing of people saying, hey, you need to vet the people that you are helping not sponsor, but promote their stuff. I mean, I get that. That makes sense to me. But what is Shaq Yaki? It's going to be, how is he going to be responsible for it? Seriously. I would love to know and have a better understanding of it.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, North Korea successfully launched a missile from the submarine over the weekend ahead of the scheduled joint military exercise between the U.S. and South Korea. The missiles have significant technology capability by the Hermit Kingdom. They were also reported airborne for about 2 hours, flying to figure 8 pattern before impacting targets nearly 1,000 miles away. This has been the first time North Korea managed to launch a long-range missile underwater. So there you go, some information right there. NASA SpaceX crew of 5 is back on Earth after splashing down over the weekend. The astronauts spent nearly 6 months aboard the International Space Center. Meanwhile, the NASA and Canada space agencies will announce on April the 3rd the cruise of the Artemis mission, which will make the astronauts go around the moon. The crew will include 3 Americans and 1 Canadian. Boots will return on the moon no earlier than 2025. Walmart will begin carrying a ranch-flavored ice cream made by Van Loon and Hidden Valley in many stores across the country. The creative connection will see stores on March the 20th. So here's the thing. Why in the hell would you want ranch flavored ice cream? Like, seriously. I mean, at no point have I ever sat around and said, listen, I need a chip with some ranch and a cup of milk. That just, I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. It really does. Just think about it.
They're good. They're very funny.
They're hilarious. They just be whoever they want to be.
It's just really funny.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a Colorado woman says the serving on a jury duty saved her life. Last month, Shirley Bennett stepped out and into a hallway during a trial break, took a seat on a bench, and then the last thing that she remembers, she was suffering a major heart attack. And because the trained officials were on site, they were able to give her CPR until paramedics arrived. The 69-year-old juror says that she was not serving on the jury duty. She would have likely died at her home. I mean, I have to tell you this. This is probably the first time anybody has ever said anything about jury duty saving their life. Let's just be realistic. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here, but let's just be real. Anyway, let's just talk about the movie charts real quick because it's about that time on doing so. Number 10 over the weekend was Operation Fortune with $1.3 million. And number 9 was Puss in Boots, The Last Witch, $1.6 million. And number 8, Avatar, The Way of the Water with $2.7 million. And number 7, Champions, $5.1 million. At 6, Jesus Revolution, $5.1 million. Wouldn't that kind of be a tie for 6 and 7? Okay, so there you go. Number 5 was Cocaine Bear with $6.2 million. And number 4 was Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Media, $7 million. And number 3, 65 is what it's called, $12.3 million. And number 2 was Creed Part 3 with $27.1 million. And at the number 1 spot, Scream Part 6, yeah, believe that, $44.5 million. That is what's going on right there. Anyways, I think it's time to bring in some John Smalls, let him tell us about what the hell is going on according to the market. Take a listen to this right now, 26 minutes past the top of the hour.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, March 13th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. It was a game-changing week for equities last week. Fed Chief Jerome Powell's commentary walloped the market that inflation was not tamed. Rates would continue to rise, and peak interest rates may be higher than the market is forecasting. The news caused the market to sell off more than 200 points and create the largest red candle in months. The signal is that the S&P 500 stocks are unlikely to move any higher this year, and that downward risk is increasing. The last several candles like this led to further declines from 5% to 10%. This week will be another hurdle for the market. The CPI data is due out Tuesday and is expected to be hot. Another hot read of inflation data will keep the Fed on track to raise rates at least another 100 basis points. The next hike could be 50. The Fed needs to get the market's attention. Its only weapon is interest rates. You can get the inside track in your inbox at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there on what is going on. Let's talk real quick about what I was able to find on my side. The Dow lost about 345 points to close at 31,909 on Friday. The S&P lost about 56 points to close at 3,861, and the NASDAQ lost about 199 points to close at 11,138. West Texas Intermediate closed at $76 a barrel, and Brent crude closed at $82 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.47 on Sunday. Bitcoin railed over the weekend, adding about 7%, and Sunday was trading just over $22,500. When the bad news of the banks holding a flat currency, which is usually a good day for alternative currency. Other currencies like Dogecoin and Ethereum were both just over 4%. There was are you ready for this? There was 5,840 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, and 235 cancellations. Think about that. Yesterday was not the day to travel. No day to travel was ayer, that's for sure. I would have been pissed off, seriously. Anyways, Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $229 million jackpot, or $126 $120.6 million cash payout. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for, for $52 million jackpot or a $27.4 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, I guess it is time to do so. Anyways, let's bring in some pros real quick. Let's talk about this. An update is expected this morning by the Governor Kathy Hochul on the shutdown of New York-based Signature Bank. Scott Pringle has more info.
U.S. regulators say depositors will have access to their money at Signature Bank, but shareholders and some unsecured debt holders, they are not being protected. Federal regulators shut Signature Bank yesterday due to systemic risk. And this follows the takeover of the failed Silicon Valley Bank on Friday. Signature Bank has been heavily involved in the cryptocurrency industry. It has more than $110 billion in assets. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
So definitely going to be some interesting things going on this morning, and we'll broadcast them on Safety FM at the top of the hour, every hour, and what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news. And I'm sure that, coming, onto the next show, Van Camp and Morgan, I'm sure they're going to be talking about what is going on, so you don't have to worry about all this stuff. Anyways, there's another series of changes in the Long Island Railroad operation this morning following the recent full opening of Grand Central Madison. Scott Pringle has more.
Are taking 4 trains that had been going to Grand Central Madison, and they're rerouting them to Penn Station. The LIRR also lengthening more morning rush hour trains and adding 2 stops to the Ronkonkoma branch. These changes are on top of other changes made last week, and it's all in response to complaints following the full opening of Grand Central Madison. That includes crowded platforms and trains, difficult transfers, and less service to Brooklyn. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, so there you go. Some changes happening there if you're in the New York area, that is for sure. Anyways, this one's coming out of Colorado. March is Women History Month. The Colorado Springs Pioneer Museum is honoring local women who made a big impact on the community, and the museum curator in the history, Leah Davis, says that she'll tell women's story every day of the year, but this month they're going the extra mile.
We're not telling women's history, we're leaving half of the story out. In this museum, we pride ourselves in being a mirror to our community where everyone who comes in can see a bit of their story reflected back to them.
The museum tells the stories of local pioneers like Jim Penrose, Fannie Mae Duncan, and Mama Sue Perkins, to name a few. Many of the exhibits are about how women fought through the crap in 19th century before the 19th Amendment was passed for their rights to vote. A Women History Month scavenger hunt is being held at the museum all month long, every Tuesday through Saturday during business hours. Colorado Springs Pioneer Museum creator Leah Davis says that the month of March reminds her why she's so passionate about collecting local history and preserving and sharing it with the community.
It's not really about the past. It's very much about understanding how we got to the present, and history helps us consider the future.
Sorry about that. I thought I muted the microphone, but I definitely didn't. So if I just blew out your eardrum, I apologize about that. Anyways, it is currently 32 minutes past the top of the hour. So you know what that means? That probably means that it is time to do that thing that we like to call around here our main story. So let's do that.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's talk about it. Let's move. Let's groove. Let's go through the whole thing that we have to talk and do. So listen, I have to tell you, last week, as we take a look around, one could turn around and go, hey, it's a great week. It was some good times in regards of hanging out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And if you were there, I am so glad that you showed up and we were able to do some things together. Seriously, I mean, the conference overall, good times in regards on how everything was broken down and the speakers doing all of the stuff that was there. And listen, it was one of those things that, the group of us that was able to hang out, we did it and things changed in regards on how we viewed certain segments of what we were talking about, which was human and organizational performance. And here's where I have issues with conferences, and let me be very specific on what I'm trying to say here, opposed to somebody trying to think that I'm saying something entirely different. It is one of those things that when you go to a conference, you have like-minded people around you. You have people that are talking about certain subject matters that you deem important, that you go back and you are all of a sudden now, after a conference, on one of these highs of things that you want to implement, things on how they're going to change within your organization, because you are ready to set this thing up. Now, here's what happens. When you get back to your organization, and this is any conference you go to, things more than likely have not changed over the period of time that you were gone. The way that you feel emotionally at the moment, the hype, the portion where you have this big fire inside of you where you're ready to move forward and change your organization, people do not know that is how you feel when you get back. And I have noticed that when people have what we call an emotional event, it normally lasts about 6 weeks. So what are you going to do during that time frame to make sure that and this is for any conference, that you're going to apply this as actual applicable applications as you move forward? And that's where it gets interesting, because sometimes people turn around and go, well, I kind of lost some of the fire that was there, and that's expected, some of. But it's really kind of building on what you want to see that outcome. I always tell people, if you don't write it down and are trying to accomplish something, it's a wish. Seriously. And I'm not saying, listen, you have to have these hard timelines on how you're going to apply these things, but you have to do stuff that's going to keep you motivated. I don't know if it's a podcast. I don't know if it's a radio show. I don't know if it's a book. I don't know if it's a lecture. I don't know if it's a video on demand service. There's all kinds of stuff that need to be done for you to take a look at this and go, this is how I'm able to move forward. And if you're looking at it and you kind of are hesitant about what to do, that's where you kind of look at some of those people that were around you, those like-minded individuals that you build rapport with during the week. How do you go about changing that in regards of talking to them and going, okay, this is where I'm trying to go. Where are you struggling? What is going on inside of your location? You see? So I don't know. I would always love to say to people, there is a best way and a great way of doing some of these things, but it becomes extremely difficult from time to time because you can't let it be an emotional event. It has to be one of these events that you know that this is what you want to do in your organization or how you're going to help people out moving forward. It's so strange at times, because you're like, well, hold on. Last week we did this, and then this week we're doing this. I have been on the other side of the equation, and I definitely understand that whole thing of where you're excited and you return to somewhere where it is not seen as that is the best way of doing stuff. And I worked for this organization for years, and I looked at it, and don't get me wrong, I will never complain about what I was being paid, but I look at it and I go, what could I have done differently? Just look at it this way. And I know that sometimes when I say this, people don't love it, but it's okay. Safety is almost like a version of marketing. You have to market this because people can't touch it, can't feel it, can't see it until something happens. So maybe if you have a marketing department, talk to them. Show them the passion that you have going on this week. This passion that you have from coming back from one of these events. And let them know, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. What can you do to assist me? If you do this, what do you think might happen in the long run? Maybe that is the way to think about some of this stuff.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com. Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacky? Safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Words team at safetywords.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
You're in my mind forever, but I think we've had just enough. Been calling often, you listen never. Always tuck it down, yeah, light as a feather. You'll find me swimming in the dark, oh, where's my mind? I threw it in the bag, just leave it gifts from time to time. Hey, for crying out loud, pull yourself together, don't you stop, you're trying now. Hey, for crying out loud, I never thought I'd ask, but now I can do a shout. Hey.
Okay, here we are, 43 minutes past the top of the hour. You are still hanging out here on the, well, I almost called it the Jay Allen Good Morning Show, which is exactly what it is. because the hour one we refer to as the Rated R Safety Show. We're still on Radio Big on Safety FM. This song right here is called What About Us? This is by Josho. Yes, Josho. We would like to thank Josho for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. If you want to give it a little download, a little stream action, whatever you want to do, you can go to YouTube Music, you can go to Spotify, or you can go to Apple Music to do so. There you go. Thank you to Josho for that one. Okay, so let's get moving and grooving because, time is of the essence and we have very little of it, especially because that's what happens when we come back and we start doing all this stuff. So anyways, if you're going to take a listen to anything, this will be the most important thing that I will tell you at any point in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and the best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. You can text the word TALK to 988, or you can just call 988. Listen, before you make your next decision, if you're going through some struggles, feel free on giving them a call. They're there all the time, 24/7. Seriously, I bring it up, I talk about it because I think it's that important to talk about. Seriously. So let's get into some more news and some things that are going on. So, sign me up. Yeah, it's Mondays and clock changed over the weekend, and you probably lost an hour of sleep. Chances are that you've got more than a few things to sigh about. But we'll go ahead and because of sighing isn't good for you, according to a study, Dr. David Spiegel, a professor of psychiatry and the director of Center of Stress and Health at Stanford University School of Medicine, says that despite of the negative association to the act of a long, slow exhale of a breath, sometimes accompanied with a bit of a whimper, his research shows that instead of seeing sighs and sadness as an expression of that, we should recognize them and what they can accomplish. It's a stress relief. Seriously, it's a stress relief. So if you learn to do this and systematically, you can definitely learn how to calm yourself when needed. His team found that the cyclic sighing, when a person inhales through their nose until their lungs are full, then pauses before the lung completely with another, completely everything comes out with another breath, and then slowly exhaling in a rapid way to calm yourself. You can do that about 3 times. Spiegel says that you'll see immediate relief from being anxious and feeling stress. That tends to happen when you pass out. I mean, I guess that's one thing. And while I'm going to say to the gang that I work with that I'm pretty exhausted, and that we need to relax a bunch because you should hear the sign that appears every time that I walk into the room. I mean, I don't know, just something to think about. Also, the other thing is that the reason why people breathe into bags? I mean, I never understand what is going on. That is for sure when we are talking about it.
Always replicated, but never duplicated. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, let's continue talking as it is 47 minutes past the top of the hour. So somebody sent this to me, and I figured we should talk about it. Tips for staying young. 3/4 of people age 70 or older agree that the old age stereotype no longer applies to them as seniors. In a poll of 72% of them, they said they feel younger than their actual age, and that there are some top tips for staying young or for at least feeling young. A varied diet came in as number 1, laughing daily, socializing with friends, an active sex life, hanging out with people younger than they are, and keeping up with new music. Hold on, why did an active sex life and hanging out with people younger than they are go back to back? That's kind of a weird one. And keeping 1 in 20 said that they still jump up onto the grocery store carts and glide around just to prove that they can still do it. I tried an active sex life thing, but my wife kept on texting me to come home. No, seriously, I'm just joking as I say that. It's the secret of staying young and getting all excited about a new song from DJ MC Stereo Mixtables or one of those dudes. Sorry, not worth it. Not worth it. I mean, I don't know. I always look at these things and I go, what the hell? What the hell is going on out there? So there you go. Some stuff going on always inside of there. Anyways, we got some more news stories. Take a listen to this one. The time change took place over the weekend, but it's super important that you look alive. Bree Tennis has more information.
Northwestern School of Medicine says during the week after we return to daylight saving time, the odds of bad stuff happening goes up. After the change, you have a 24% higher risk of having a heart attack, 6% more likely to get into a fatal car crash, and mental health issues spike at around 11%. They say it takes about a week to adjust to the change in time, so be careful. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
So what about these people that want to actually make this thing, a permanent thing? A permanent thing in regards of what is going on. I mean, I always take a look at it and I go, hey, I think I would be okay with the daylight savings time constantly around the clock. There is no doubt about that. I mean, what do you think? Is that something that you would look into, or you wouldn't care too much about it? I mean, I don't know. I just want you to be aware of that. I mean, if it stayed in that constant time change where it was an hour ahead, or however you want to look at it from this, as the spring forward hour, let's put it that way. That might be the best way of taking a look at it. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, take a listen to this. Another atmospheric river is taking aim to Ventura County. Daniel Martindale has more.
Tomorrow lasts through Wednesday night and will be the 11th atmospheric river to hit Southern California this winter. This will be another warmer storm carrying subtropical moisture. The valleys and coast are forecast to receive 1.5 to 3 inches of rain. The foothills and mountains are bracing for 3 to 6 inches of rain. The snow level is expected to stay high again above 8,000 feet. The ground is already saturated from the storm that passed through on Friday and Saturday, prompting concerns about flooding, mud, and rock slides and other issues. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Daniel Martindale, for the information right there. Take a listen to this. Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen is expected to testify today before a Manhattan grand jury. Julia Ryan has more information.
Observers say it's a sign that prosecutors are close to indicting the former president over hush money paid to a porn star who said she had an affair with Trump. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has already questioned at least 7 other people before the grand jury, hearing evidence about the hush money deal. I'm Julie Ryan.
Okay, thank you, Julie Ryan, for the information there. So that's going to be an interesting twist of events, of things that are going on. There is no doubt about that as we are talking. If you come into hour number 2, which will be going over to radiobig.fm, we'll talk a little bit more about what happened last night at the Oscars. Really don't think that we could do that here on this show, but would love to get you over there. All you have to do is go to radiobig.fm to come and hang out. If you stay right here on Safety FM, Sheldon Primers will be coming up next with a safety consultant podcast, as he calls it, and you can take a listen to what he has going on inside of that world. Let's give you some more news stories real quick. A suspect at the center of the 2-day standoff in San Gabriel Valley is dead. The man was found dead by an apparent suicide on Sunday afternoon. Commander Thomas Giandomenico with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says that the man wanted to hurt deputies.
Morning, he was still cussing and sending text messages about his ability to want to put harm on us.
Okay, the suspect had been up in the home in Valinda since Friday afternoon after allegedly shooting a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy nearly 100 times with a high-powered rifle. He also accused of shooting a citizen in the area. The man was alone inside of the home. The commander says that it was safer for the deputies to wait the suspect out.
And risk management and the extreme threat that suspect was putting on the community, we had to slow down our operation. We had to make sure that everything was done to perfection and to the utmost safety. And in that process, it takes time.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of there. So hopefully everything gets moving forward. Anyways, it is currently 53 minutes past the top of the hour. I think it is time for us to bring you that moment in time that we're supposed to talk about. Hold on. Now I've lost all my files. This is going to get good quickly. So maybe it is time for us to bring to you, well, I was going to say the Motivation Minute, but apparently the Motivation Minute does not like me anymore because now I have lost it altogether. So maybe we do something entirely different. So let's take a look at this one then. Instead of going into the Motivation Minute, take a listen to, oh man, my computer has just done a total whack job on me. That's okay. We can continue talking about other things. Guess no Motivation Minute today because it looks like it is there. Okay, hold on. I was able to find it. This is why I love live radio because I tell you exactly what's going on inside of there. Here's John Smalls with the Motivation Minute.
Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Seth. Comedian Mitch Hedberg said, "I bought a donut and they gave me a receipt for the donut. I don't need a receipt for the donut. I'll just give you the money and you give me the donut. End of transaction. We don't need to bring ink and paper into this. I just can't imagine a scenario where I would have to prove that I bought a donut." We absolutely love Mitch Hedberg, and I laughed at this so much. Maybe it's because we're getting ready for tax season and my wife has been asking me about random charges on my card. Sadly, many of these things have been even dumber than donuts. If you're also getting stuff ready for the tax team, you could probably use a laugh too. Thanks for sharing, Seth. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
The Food and Drug Administration is issuing new standards that may help detect breast cancer sooner. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren reports.
Almost half of women have what are considered dense breasts, high in fibrous and glandular tissue that appear white on mammography, making cancer, which also appears white, more difficult to detect.
The FDA will require mammogram providers to inform their patients if they have dense breasts. Having dense breast tissue increases a woman's chance of getting breast cancer. For women with dense breast tissue, the FDA recommends following up on a mammogram with an ultrasound. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers will speak this summer at a psychedelic conference in Denver. The longtime Green Bay Packers quarterback has been very open about his use of hallucinogens, including mushrooms and a concoction known as a plant teacher. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. Some interesting stuff. Sorry about that. Apparently, we're having a cluster with a computer, but hey, that's the way that life goes sometimes. This is the worst thing that happens all day. We're still having a great day. Look at it from that particular standpoint. So let's get into the rest of what we have going on. Before I forget and get too far away into it, let me make sure that I can find the correct picture here. If you have not purchased your tickets for Safety Worlds Collide taking place May the 9th and May the 10th in Phoenix, Arizona, you'll have the opportunity to hang out with Brent Sutton, Sam Goodman, and myself. You know, giving you the different aspects of what the hell is going on inside of the world of safety. Would love to see you there. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io. Anyways, let's get through this real quick. Let's talk about something that happened back on this date. And as I'm taking a look around in regards of what is going on, if we take a look back at, let's see, 2020, the U.S. government officially declares the COVID-19 pandemic a national emergency. The matter of days, the coast-to-coast businesses closed, schools sent kids home, and millions of people lost their job. That happened back on this date in 2020. Here's just a few birthdays that are going on today. Harry Melling turns 34. Danny Matterson turns 47. Adam Clayton, 63. Kathy Hilton turns 64. If you are looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you as well. It's National Open an Umbrella Indoors Day, Commonwealth Day, National Jewelry Day, Phil R. Stapler Day, National Coconut Tort Day, Ken Day, National Earmuff Day, Smart and Sexy Day, and Universal Woman Week Day. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of there if you want to celebrate it. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you. And it would sound something like, what would it sound like? It would sound something like this. I've been working 24/7 to come up with a joke about daylight savings time. Some people won't get that. I've always been the type of person who stops looking for work once I find a job. Take that any way you want, or however you like. Let's look at it that way. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. Confession time. What would you like to get off your chest today? That's an interesting question. Here you go. If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. A survey found that 12% of adults do this when daylight savings time starts. What is it? Adjust their clock the wrong way. So there you go. That's some stuff going on right there. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we could not do what we do around here, that is for sure. Like I said, I'll be going over to Radio Big. If you want to come and hang out, just have to go over there. You can find us on the iHeartRadio app as well. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. How wonderful it is that no one needs to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Think about that one today. You can improve the world by just starting to do so. Isn't that a magic aspect of something that you can do that you probably weren't even 100% aware that could be done in a moment's notice? That's for sure. So, anyways, this has been it. Thank you for taking a listen. I know who, no, seriously, so thank you for listening. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.